Okay, hopeful. Okay, hopefully this isn't gonna be any more scuffed.
All we found among Battlin's belongings was this enchanted scroll, and a map showing the way to a place called the Serpent Isle.
So you'll note there's the expansion called the Silver Seed. Now there are two ways of activating it. One is to just die. You'll get the item from the monks. The other is to actually find your way to the Monk Isle. No, because this game has an insane number of keys. The best time to actually do the Silver Seed expansion is actually before you get to the third city. Cause guess how many keys are there? Lots more. So I'm just going to check if there is a faster way to get to the Monk Island other than purposely dying, because when you die, you can get sent back randomly. Okay, so we need to activate the Serpent Gate to get there. Correctly. Yeah, so we can't actually activate the Serpent Gate until you do half the stuff in Moonshade. Maybe we'll just die and get it over with. Also, there was a much faster way to get Iola. You could just bribe one of the corrupt guys. And then you don't have to become a knight at all. Which basically shortcuts everything here. And this is all, what was it, 10 hours of Stora. So the next story point is actually to Godofan. And stuff happens. I am Carnax, a Sankin monk. Please forgive our previous meeting, my daughter. So, if you cried at the beginning of the game, so if you recall, right at the beginning of the game, this guy had a fight with another monk. And with I have nothing against thee, but I fear that Thox's wilful interference shall be the undoing of all for which we have prepared. Prepared. For what? Lest I forget, we have recently made a discovery which I believe shall aid thee, my daughter. But non-interference prime directive what? Didn't you just never mind? It was determined by all monks that the time for the hero from another world was at hand. It was also decided that we would take no direct action to influence the hero in any way. Thaxa overstepped her bounds by giving me the hourglass of fate. When I came to try to dissuade Thaxa from aiding thee directly, it was not an attack against thee. The prophecies state that those seeking to be thy friends shall bring about the downfall of thy quest. That is not why we have dedicated our lives. The damage hath been done. It is now thine to keep. It was designed so that we might be able to gauge when certain events were nigh. Perhaps it will serve thee better. I do not know. Thaxa is a very bright young woman who would like to feel that she hath single-handedly saved the world. It doth go against the grain of her youth to sit and wait for each eventide come to pass. It doth go against the grain of her youth to sit and wait for each event come to pass. It doth go against the grain of her youth to sit and wait for each event to come to pass. It doth go against the grain of her youth to sit and wait for each event to come to pass. Darn typos. Apparently an ad is running anyway. I'm told the captions are still visible even when ads run. Okay, well, continue. What is worse, though, is that she hath pulled Migim into her rashness as well. Migim is by nature a quiet young man not given to impetuousness. He is ideally suited to be our librarian. Hello, Sid. His greatest desire is to be health well as ordered. In fact, it was he who divined the passage that foretold of thy coming. While searching for more materials for the library, Migim discovered an ancient chest in the passages beneath our abbey, near the Serpent Gate. Within this chest was a strange amulet and a scrap of decaying scroll. The scroll indicated that this is the amulet of balance. It is our thought that this inlet was meant for thee, my daughter. I shall caution thee that we do not know what powers it has, for the scroll disintegrated before medium could fully translate it. But I am certain it is connected to the serpent ruins in some manner. Perhaps if thou dost use it near the serpent gate thou wilt trigger its power. All references to the one who can alter the course of destiny allude to the hero from another world. Art thou from this land, from Nuso's area? Dost thou see? When taken with the other signs, it points to thee as the Owen who alone can save our land. I sought to win her away from her foolishness by rational argument. Regrettably, it became a test of magics. As thou canst see, Thaxa and I are both skilled enough that we both yet live. Senka was given visions of the ending of our world. However, she was barely Latit, and needed others to act as scribes for her convoluted visions. However, she was barely literate, and needed others to act as scribes for her convoluted visions. Senka was a cross farm wife who saw her visions as a means to have others do her work for her. Okay, so you're following the visions of a farmer. Yet despite her human failings, her visions are true thou art here, even if she is not. Senka disappeared quite some time ago. Many think that she will return to deliver the final key to saving our doomed world. I think that her visions had left her, and she slunk quietly away to die in obscurity. Senka foresaw that people would turn from their basic goodness until the very land itself would rise up in revolt against their twisted ways. Grim tidings indeed. Even now the storms flay the land. Soon the earthquakes will unleash the fire that will engulf the world. The land is a living entity, my daughter. Have no doubt that it will convulse as death draws near, even as a man. And where will we insignificant mortals be once the land which nurtures us heaves its last, explosive breath? The storms are what conveyed thee here, my daughter. Doth natural lightning do aught but kill? Doth normal lightning transport an item thousands of leagues from where once it stood? And the storms are growing more frequent and fierce with each passing day. Unlike silent novices that thou dost see among us, Saxa and I have both forged gateways into the power of the void. By tapping into this dream, any confirmed Senecan monk can surmount his or her own death. Butterfly effect. But there are still some things that remain beyond any one monk's power and require the concerted effort of us all. Manipulation of time and space requires more power than one man can channel. So teleportation and resurrection require that all the monks can join their power. Unlike the unenlightened mages of Moonstate, our powers come not from moldering regions. The power of a Xenkin monk comes from a connection to the limitless void that surrounds the universe. Why have we spent like 30 minutes talking to this guy? Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy a lore dump, but I want it in chapters. Consider the void to be the frame within which our cosmos is bound. It is the source of unimagined power. Power that thou mayest draw upon freely, if thou hast forged a gateway into it through long meditation. The mages of Moonshade are but mere children playing at the arts. They have not the patience to learn. True magic comes after long years of meditation and self-sacrifice. He hath taken the chaos of our library and turned it into a vastly more organized area. In fact, they believe that we have the most concise collection of Ophidian books and scrolls that still exists. Of course, it helps that we have the lens of translating. It is the large device that stands in the center of the library. Anyone using it is able to decipher the cryptic Ophidian writing for a short period of time. Those that live within this abbey believe that Sanka's prophecies hold the key to diverting the fiery end that awaits the world. Our numbers have decreased with time, for even Sinkin monks die from age. And few of the UEs are willing to serve such a nihilistic prophecy. And few of the youths are willing to serve such a nihilistic prophecy. The Ophidians are commonly referred to as the Serpent People because of the embossed serpents found within the ruins of their cities. Hey, quick question. Is there any fantasy world with no ruins of a civilization? It seems like if there are ruins of a civilization, one of two things happened. 1. Complete ecological collapse like a nuclear bomb or a meteor. Oh, two wars that never end and each time keep ruining the cities, and they just build a new one on top. Did you know the reason we keep finding ruins underground has more to do with heavy things sinking into soil? Like the pyramids in Egypt when they were discovered, were buried up to the last 10 feet or so in sand. And other ruins often have to be excavated carefully, like Pompeii, because they were buried in ash. So it seems like, although rooted in some manner of human reality, what is the justification for ruins in a fantasy scenario if you don't actually show signs of that civilization? Like in this game. Sid? Which is technically the 11th game in sequence. Let's see Ultima 1, 2, and 3. Ultima 1 takes place in an undefined time period. And this game, 7 Part 2, takes place on a landmass that was last visited in Ultima 1. There are 4 continents in Ultima 1. And the map of this one, if it was logically the same as Ultima 1, should be a mirror of Britannia. But it isn't. Well, yes, that's a so not useful image size. Anyway. This is what the maps look like in the box of Ultima 1. Now, which of these maps looks like this game? Technically, it's this one. But here's the thing. The lands where Lord British does not look like any of them. see, none of the Ultima 1 maps have all these little islands on them. Which means that this landmass and Serpent Isle actually reflects the original La Mache. And this is why. The lower right corner is Serpent Isle. But take a look at how this is laid out. Take the lower right corner. Rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. Now flip it horizontally. So this is something I overserved when I played Ultima 1 originally. Because what they did in the first game is rotated the map. And that is how you store 4 times as much data on one floppy disk. Use the same map. And just rotate it. So notice the location of this little island in the middle. I see I'm pointing to the screen, and you can't see it. still can't see the mouse cursor. Okay, you know what? It was visible because I was dragging the image. Anyway, what I was trying to point at. This one is Serpent Eye. The water flows east. Then if you look at the others, Noor, Wes, Sa. So this is what I mean that Britannia doesn't represent the original landmass. Serpentine does. This one in this corner is Sosaria before Britannia. So what is it? It's mirrored. Since it's mirrored. That means Britannia should have broadly looked like Serpent Eye. But clearly it doesn't. The major landmass is in the upper left corner and has a desert here. Where is Serpent Isle? The major land mass is down here. It has a polar region. Which makes no sense if it's supposed to be a mirror of Britannia. And remember how I pointed out that out the direction little island surrounded by water? Where did that get? And that island is where we are near. They had a fully developed civilization here long before our forefathers fled from the invader British. I believe that they destroyed themselves in a bloody civil war. So just to mention again, there were cities here before, and they existed in Ultima 1. But the civilization that Karnak is talking about is actually something predating even Ultima 1. I believe that the Ophidian government disintegrated and their society split into two opposing groups. In the end, one faction apparently slaughtered the other. But all traces of the victors did disappear soon after the final battle took place. It is a mystery where they went. Our records are incomplete concerning the time of the resettlement. For that thou shouldst see fit a biblio in Moonshade. Thou shalt bear in mind that their accounts are likely to be highly biased in their own favor. Fedibiblio is the master archivist in the City of Mages. He is also a teacher, and will be able to help thee. I do not know if Senka's visions were full of diverse images or if she couched them in such terms out of peevishness. Whatever the case may be, her prophecies run round the edge of what must be known, and it can take years to decipher the meaning of a single vision. We have restored life to thy flesh as promised hero from another world. Now thou must continue thy quest. We know not for certain from where thou wilt continue. This is why I didn't leverage this. Because you could be dropped just about anywhere. So you'd end up running back through the dungeon that already took you 30 minutes to get through it. I was gonna say be right back, but... But be right back.